The nice thing about this is that Ram and I took a call very early in our marriage that, first we definitely believed in storing our eggs. So we definitely did that, previously for various different reasons. But we realized that we need to focus on our career at that point of time. He was in the middle of a lot of shoot. I was building my career. And today, both of us are at a stable place where we can afford to take care of the child with the income that we are generating by ourselves.
We have Upasana Kamineni joining us today at midday. Thank you for joining us today. And, she is the founder of Your Life, vice chairperson of CSR, Apollo Hospitals, and managing director, Family Health Plan Insurance, TPA. And as a leading healthcare entrepreneur and philanthropist, she spearheads various initiatives such as Arjava, a green skilling initiative that works with indigenous tribal communities of India. Total Health, a rural development program for womb to tomb care across all the pillars of health, Billion Hearts health programs for the elderly living in marginalized communities, and more. She's an active promoter of corporate wellness and has used her extensive knowledge and experience to build a 360-degree preventive healthcare ecosystem through Your Life and FHPL. As soon to be a mother here, she's talking to us about juggling life as a star wife and her many responsibilities. Thank you for joining us today here. So, we would want to start with, tell us about your pregnancy journey till date. You during this period, the RRR Oscars happened. You traveled for the Oscars in that time. How has that phase been like?
I think every woman's journey is different with, their pregnancy and their body. I think that, my body and my baby have been very kind to me to allow me to experience what all I had to. And it was a great journey. And I made sure that I followed a routine to give enough priority to my body and myself while taking care of other things as well. So I think that has been my core of, the whole journey.
Congratulations on that. When it comes to balancing it, the milestones in your life, I think, as a family, as a couple, and as an individual itself, has happened a lot in the similar times, right? You've been a working woman till date, and you are about to be a mother soon, and you're a star wife. That's been happening. Everything at one go, the success of RRR and everything. How was that like? Balancing all of that together.
So I think, it depends on priority. And you have to slot things. One thing that I've invested heavily on is life coaches throughout my life, and these coaches have taught me to prioritize what is important at that time. And I think, making when you wake up in the morning, if you make a priority list as to what is going to be your main priority for the day and a to-do list. And then my grandfather always, keeps asking me what good thing you did for the day. So my good thing that I do every day is to prioritize and also stick to what I have to achieve that day. So I feel like a champion at the end of the day. So whether it's small goals, whether it's drinking water, whether it's moving that many steps, whether it's upping my protein for my baby, those are the basic things that I do for myself. And in the workplace as well, I set very tangible goals, and I think that is the most important. So in that way, my personal life, my self, and my work hasn't taken a backseat right now.
I think being a health professional yourself, I think that's one big point, and you know what to do right exactly at this point of time. When you talk about setting up the goals, when you're working, the number of steps to be taken. I think there's a lot to learn from you when it comes to that. I like we women who are working and constantly at work and dealing with their personal life. The balance, I think you've given a very good example for that, I would say. And you did talk about being a hands-on mother in one of your interviews that I was looking at. So tell us about that. How to strike a balance between motherhood and work. if you have to advise anybody on that?
Well, I haven't come to that stage in my life yet where I have to, be there for my child. I haven't experienced it yet, and I prefer to talk only once I've experienced it. Now, I have experienced 7 to 8 months of, carrying a child and working. And I think that, the way we look at women during this period has to change. And I started thinking, I work a lot with, Your Life works a lot with corporates and the maternity programs
Yeah.
and FHP. The claims are on, large claims are on maternity as well. So I'm beginning to look at this whole bit from a different lens. And, one of the thoughts that came to me is I actually didn't need so much maternity leave, but I wish I had the opportunity to take a week off in my first trimester. So, the concept of personalizing your maternity leave based on your needs, I think is something that we should definitely grow towards and evolve as a culture to bring more women into the workforce. So, this is something that I've experienced myself. And I hope to put a structure to it so it benefits the organization, the mother, and doesn't compromise the child and the home as well.
When you talk about the way you've spoken about this right now, I think the question that crosses in my mind right now, which I did not think of earlier, is you talk about the claims and everything. You've been speaking about how women should know about it, how they should learn about it, and I think that's a big, big thing that every woman should learn. I think there might be a lot of working women till date who might be working, might be earning, but there is no proper plan when it comes to the finances of it, right? So when it comes to planning as a mother, what would that be?
I had this conversation with my husband. However, your background is, or whatever it is, it's important to have those financial conversations with your spouse so that your child is taken care of, and that, okay, we need to work that much harder to make sure that our child is taken care of. What are the basics that we need for our child? Are we going to do this and this? So then once you set your goals, it becomes much easier to achieve what you need for your child and for this new person coming into your life. And the nice thing about this is that Ram and I took a call very early in our marriage that, first, we definitely believed in storing our eggs. So we definitely did that, previously, for various different reasons. But we realized that we need to focus on our career at that point of time. He was in the middle of a lot of shoot. I was building my career. And today, both of us are at a stable place where we can afford to take care of the child with the income that we are generating by ourselves and give our child that lifestyle and stability. And I think that, people can think so many things saying that, oh, they anyway are inheriting so much, this, that, and everything. All that is fine. But end of the day, what we keep for our child, what we earn, it has to make sense. So that's why we decided to do this at this point of time. And we didn't let anything come in the way of our thoughts. And I think that that's something that I respect, in our relationship.
I think when you talk about this, the idea of planning things makes a lot of sense, of course. Like you need to know what to do, right, irrespective of how much you earn or how much you have, and how are you planning to take things further. The proper planning has to be there in collaboration as a partner. So yeah, that makes gives my answer very right. Now, again, I have a question that comes out after what you said. You talk about when you spoke about freezing the eggs. When it comes to women in India, I think they are still the society is still not very okay with the idea of doing this. People might not be very educated about this yet. And when they speak and say, for instance, if you go to speak to somebody maybe in a very rural part of India and they would not know about it, they might not be very okay with it. So what's your take on that? Do
And
you
why?
think?
But first, you need to think why. If someone has a problem with their heart, don't they go and see a doctor and don't they get an intervention done? It's not that one part of it is there can be many reasons to do this, and you need to think what is the most important. Is it a medical reason? If it's a medical reason, then definitely do it. Is it a reason that you want to be financially stable? Because you don't want to take care of your child with pocket money. You want to give your child all what you need, and once you build your lifestyle and career. So there are some practical things that you need to think about with respect to family, with respect to your finances, and then after that, take the call. Science has developed so much that you can have this procedure later,
Yeah.
and technology in that has developed so much that the modification of these eggs and checking the genes and all that can happen. So if people actually study this, it's a very, very cool thing to do. And these are not designer babies, these are precaution controls. And I think that people need to be more open about this and speak about it.
Yeah. But do you think people are educated enough about this
The
yet, and
safety
there has to be an
mechanism, it's
agenda?
like taking I think that I use this completely as an insurance policy. Saving your eggs is like an insurance policy. So tomorrow, later in life, you need something else, this is always there as a backup. So I think that every working woman, educated woman, should definitely do this, and then put their life on priority, because life gives you opportunity and options. You need to know what to take when.
Yeah, correct. So correct. When you talk about this, what are other factors you would think of that, any woman must be careful about or keep in mind when she's pregnant or when the partner is expecting? I'm sure you must have got this question a lot before, but still, in detail, if you could tell me about it.
So you need to make yourself a priority. Understand that there is a new life coming into your home, and there is an added responsibility as well. So the responsibility is not only financial, it's also emotional. And the way that you want to bring your child up is completely up to you. It's your journey. I'm having a hard time, putting down what I want for my child also, because there's so many wants and thoughts, but then I have to balance my family's thoughts and things like that. It's, striking a balance. But if you do your homework first, then, once the journey starts, it
Yeah.
becomes much easier. So I'm having a hard time consolidating all my thoughts in order to put it down into a system. I like to be very system driven and organized in terms of my thoughts. So tomorrow, when something happens, I'm not flustered, I'm not hurt, I'm not affected by it. So I think that, thinking about these decisions in advance and practically will help solve a lot of emotional issues later.
And when you talk about, the emotional issues or the emotional factors that come in terms of the changes that a woman can have in the body, at that point of time, as an individual, how do you maintain that calm in your head? Because, you can see a lot of women, they might have different mood swings as well, right? Like the simplest of the things that happen for the change. So how do you maintain that balance? Because when I'm talking to you right now, I can see that there's this calmness in your face that you have, and it's just so peaceful, right? So God's grace for that. But if you could tell me about that.
Well, I think every woman's journey is different. And for me, it's been about a lot of right knowledge. So getting access to the right knowledge from the right influencers and not listening to everybody that gives you advice has really helped me. And, going to qualified professionals for help has definitely made me more strategic in my thinking, as well as how I handle things. So now I'm pretty peaceful at what I want to do. So because I've done my homework well.
Yeah.
And I've had tough conversations with my spouse.
Of course.
And my family as well. So it gives me a lot of relief.
Of course, you have to have that, conversation, be it whatever it manner it is, to be able to strike that balance, like you say. I just thought of this when you talk about it, that pregnancy is something any woman would pray for in life, right? And any family would, any partner would. But to be able to do it in a planned manner and to be able to do it with the proper strategic planning and thoughts, and when I talk to you right now, I would just say that it feels like you've really worked hard to be able to realize that, okay, I want this in life and this is how I want to take this forward. I hope I'm making sense of the fact that I mean, not everybody follows the pattern in this way, but when I speak to, it feels like, okay, there's something to learn. And I am, as an individual, a married woman, learning at the moment that when I plan something like that for my future, for a baby, I think this is how hard I would want to work on, and this is how I would want to plan things for myself, for my partner, for my family, and as a mother and a family together. So I think I would say thank you to you for that. There's a lot to learn when I hear this from you. So tell us about your health goals you've been following since pregnancy. You've been
No,
talking about.
one thing I want to add is that, people should realize that they need to have children for the right reason,
Yeah,
not because of the pressure that,
exactly.
your family gives you. You should, not to keep your marriage alive, not to keep, not for society and just because they had it. You should have children because you want to have children and you
Exactly.
love to have children. And that's when the child will have a healthy childhood. So I think that, when that intention is clear, then automatically everything falls in place.
So true, so true. I mean, I think I feel more emotional at the moment when you're talking about this, because I think every woman should get the chance to understand this, not just the woman, but the partner, like the couple
Yeah.
in
And you
total.
should pray to have a child
Yeah,
only if you think it's practical to have one
exactly, exactly.
and for the right reasons.
Tell us about the health goals you've been following. You've been talking about your steps that you track of. I'm sure you're working on your mental health to keep that
So I don't
calm.
like to share my health goals because those are personalized to me, and I don't know whether, it'll be right for you. But one thing that I do have is I do have a fantastic nutritionist on board. I have a routine with respect to the music and the calm things that I listen to. I have reduced, the violence and action that I'm watching on TV. And so these are the basic things that I'm doing to keep a much more calm atmosphere. And obviously, I'm trying to be as active as possible, which is good for the baby as well as for me.
Okay, all right.
And of course, doing my checkups and going regularly to the doctor and the doctor's visits, tracking my whole chart. I think, that is also a huge aspect in this, and taking all the vitamin supplements that are needed. That's another key thing to do.
Tell us about your baby moon. Your Instagram speaks vibrantly about it. Tell us more.
Oh God, baby moon, baby showers. It's so beautiful that, I've had the opportunity to travel so much and be showered with so much love. I think, the genuine love for people around us is something that's overwhelming, and we're very grateful and thankful for. And the child will definitely be born in an atmosphere where surrounded by loads and loads of love. So that's very, very heartful to know. So that's what it's all about. It were beautiful gestures by his side of the family and my side of the family and our friends coming together. So I think, it made this whole journey much more beautiful, I feel.
Any woman would want that to happen, especially at this point of time in her life. That sounds
Yeah.
perfect. In a recent interview, you also talked about how you want the child. You mentioned that the child will be allowed the freedom to be themselves, but with a certain set of guidelines and responsibility that they would carry forward, because sometimes pain comes with a huge responsibility and it must be valued. Tell us about those responsibilities you think, will come into the picture, and how would they have to look into it, and how would you want that for the child?
The responsibility of legacy, the responsibility of people looking at the child from. I come from a legacy of healthcare. He comes from a legacy of entertainment. So, they have to respect legacy. And they don't have to be super successful or follow in the same field, but they have to work hard for whatever they do. Nothing is going to come easy. And that is a responsibility that they have to take. We were in the same position. And as I said in my previous interviews, also, our parents worked their butts off to make sure that we live this kind of life, but they also taught us the values. So our children also will have to work their butts off in order to get what we give them and also respect it. So I think that that is something that we are going to instill values, and that responsibility has to be on their shoulders. They have the freedom to do what they want, but they need to know that they come with this type of legacy, which I'm sure will make them into better human beings and will help develop their personality as well.
Coming to the end of the conversation, I think I have learned a lot as a woman, as an individual, and as a married woman, how I would want to speak to my partner, and on the occasion when the Mother's Day is around the corner on Sunday, 14th of May. So, what note, like one liner, if you have anything to say in regards to Mother's Day, you're a would-be mother and it's your first in a way. So, anything that you have to add?
I think that in my life right now, the father is equally a mother.
Yeah.
So though he's not carrying the child, he's monitoring the child as much. And, coming with me to the doctor, monitoring my diet. And I think that, having those tough conversations in the beginning has made the journey much smoother. And, I know the child will have a great upbringing. So that with that confidence, I feel that, fathers should be given enough, enough importance as mothers as well.
Well, I think
Because now all the fathers are being great
Yeah.
moms.
I think Ram Charan is being a very supportive husband and as a father, and that's already there in front of you.
Well, I read in the newspapers that he's taking paternity, so I'm very, very thrilled.
Okay. All right. Thank you for joining us today for this conversation, and I wish you all the best for your future endeavors, and congratulations again.
Subscribe to Midday India. Get direct notifications on all our videos by clicking on the bell icon.